read. Okay. So to start with, we're going to get you guys to go onto your computers or your iPads or your phones and download the app Poplet. It is
P-O-P-P-L-E-T.
You can find it. You can find it on the like on a computer, just poplet.com, or you can download it from the App Store. It's free. And yes, okay. So also, if you want to go onto the social forum, we have uploaded our lesson plan on there for you to have a look at throughout our presentation or afterwards. And there's some like pictures of different bits and pieces down on the bottom of that as well that will be handy for you to be able to look closely at a couple of things. So basically we've decided to focus on Year 3 and 4 students for our lesson plan, and we're integrating the digital technologies curriculum into a HASS lesson focused specifically on the European settlement in Australia and the First Fleet. We're going to overview the sequence and content of our lesson plan first, and then I'm going to explain to you guys how to use Poplet, and then we'll talk about our learning outcomes and the ACARA as well. And then we'll talk about why we chose what we did.
So our lesson plan, we created a lesson for Year 3 to 4 HASS subject, and we are focusing on the First Fleet/European settlement into Australia. As you can see on the lesson plans, if you've managed to open them up by now, we have content descriptors for both HASS and digital technologies, and it goes on to talk about why we created our unit outcomes and lesson outcomes, which we'll talk about a bit later as well. So, the content descriptors for digital technologies that we decided to focus on for our lesson was identify and explore a range of digital systems with peripheral devices for different purposes and transmit different types of data. Recognise different types of data and explore how the same data can be represented in different ways. Collect, assess and present different types of data using simple software to create information and solve problems. And plan, create and communicate ideas and information independently and with others, applying agreed ethical and social protocols. So in this lesson, we'll be using digital technologies to create a timeline on the app Poplet. We have stated that in previous lessons, students have used the internet and other digital technologies in order to conduct their research to create their timeline. And after, in later lessons, they'll be using their timeline from Poplet to make English journal entries using the same information. They can then use Microsoft Word or another digital system to type up their journal entries later. Therefore, they'll be using multiple different types of technology in the same topic. So therefore achieving 2 of the digital technology content descriptors of identify and explore a range of digital systems with peripheral devices for different purposes and transmit different types of data. And also collect, assess and present different types of data using simple software to create information and solve problems. That Poplet allows students to work independently on their timeline at their own pace, or if they want to, they can work collaboratively with others, and we've structured the lesson so that they're able to do that. With every student having their own device with the app Poplet on it, it allows them to structure their own learning. With their devices being so compact, they're able to move around the room and go and talk to their friends and collaborate a little bit more than if they were doing it in their book or at a big computer, because they wouldn't really be allowed to move around very much. So they can get ideas of each other and they're not just stuck on their own, thinking by themselves. So that achieves the ACARA digital technologies content descriptor of plan, create and communicate ideas and information independently and with others, applying agreed ethical and social protocols. At the end of our lesson, you can also see that we've given them an opportunity, if they like, to come and connect their iPad, like we've done today, to the computer and show the class what they've done during the lesson. In this, the teacher needs to stress that it's not a chance for others to copy their work or to steal ideas from them, but to think, oh, I've never thought of doing that before, maybe I'll try that, or how did they get that colour on there, maybe I'll give that a go. So it's a good idea for them to learn new skills, both in digital technology and in history. The task is fairly free in terms of the expectations that the students have upon them. They can present their timeline in any way that they wish, so they can choose to do just a little bit of writing with a lot of pictures, or they can choose to have lots of writing with like maybe a few pictures just thrown in. They can have bright and vibrant colours or just dull colours. So it's really up to the students of what they wish to do with their timeline. And this is a key positive throughout the lesson, and it achieves the ACARA Digital Technologies content descriptor of recognise different types of data and explore how the same data can be represented in different ways.
So the lesson outcomes for our lesson are all on the lesson plan, obviously, that you can see, but they're up here as well. And we've chosen these because a couple of them are to do with HASS and a couple of them are to do with digital technology specifically. So a couple of the digital technologies outcomes include being able to research and organise facts and ideas about the First Fleet using digital technology. So in that, the students need to be able to continue researching the specific information about European settlement and the First Fleet to then add into their timeline. So, and by doing that, they need to be able to order and organise information that they find on the internet into the timeline on Poplet. And the other digital technologies learning outcome is about being able to create a timeline using Poplet. So they should be able to use the app efficiently enough to create their timeline, because there will have been lessons prior and in other subjects as well that the students are using the app, so they should know how to navigate around it. And so yeah, this lesson will show that they are proficient to work on computers and iPads to create their timeline. And there's a couple of HASS ones as well, so they need to be able to interpret the knowledge of a convict, explorer or Indigenous Australian's life and apply it to their own. So that's about relating the life events and situations of specific people to their own life. And then also recounting their story in the form of a timeline. The next one is recognising important dates and events and summarising the relevant facts and details. So they need to be able to recognise the facts that they've researched and then apply that into their timeline. So we chose these particular learning outcomes because we believe that they're measurable, in that the teacher will be able to clearly observe what the students are completing and the knowledge that they've obtained to work on the task. In the end, the teacher will be able to see if they've understood the task and what level their computer and iPad skills are at by looking at the timeline. And we've used TPAC and SAMR models to ensure that the students will be provided with a lesson that would allow transformational and meaningful learning through the use of ICT. It will also be obvious as to whether their researching and communication skills are developed because of the way that they've obtained the information that they've previously researched. And we use Bloom's taxonomy to create our learning outcomes, and they all align with the Australian curriculum for Year 3 and 4 students. And we have allowed, like Poplet can be used to many different skill levels, I suppose, so that's where the differentiation comes in for our students there.
So if you look down further on our lesson plan, you can see the resources needed. We've tried to keep them fairly limited, but each student will need an iPad or a computer of some sort. It will be perfect with an iPad because it's smaller, they can move around, but if it is a computer, it still works on a computer just fine. They'll need interactive whiteboard because it's easy to explain things to the class and they can show their own. Then we have our general lesson sequence. We have a book at the beginning of the lesson, starting with a reading of a novel, Convicted, which we decided would be read at the beginning of each lesson, so the students know that that's history, they're going to begin history, and they'll just be right into that from the very beginning. We've done specific timing for our lesson, so that they have treat the whole entire thing, and because they're on their own devices, it's very easy for them to get distracted and start doing their own sort of thing. So if you have these constant reminders through time framing, it will bring them back, let them know what their task is and get them to do it properly. And at the end of the lesson, as we said, they'll have a time to share their work and reflect on what they've done. If you scroll down to the end of the page, we've made a task sheet for the students. Each student will have a task sheet, so in case they forget what they're supposed to do, it'll be right there in front of them. Abby's now going to
try. The iPad was supposed to connect, but I'm not quite sure it's not going to. But that's okay. If you can get up your
Poplet app on your devices,
we'll have little moments to show you how it works. This isn't going to work, but
this is one that Abby's created
yeah.
earlier, which is also on the bottom of our lesson plan. So Abby's more, the higher order thinking students will be able to do this. And then another one that's a bit more specific. So we gave the students an option on our task sheet to do one that's specific by dates or specific by personal character. And you're just going to get that from the internet.
Sorry, and I'll talk you through how to use it. Oh yes, let's try it. Okay, so it will look a little bit different if you are on the computer than if you are on the app through the App Store. But basically, it's a pretty simple app. The kids in my class of our placement last year used it, and they used it to create mind maps and some different stuff. But we're going to use it to create a timeline today. So we won't expect you to remember dates about the first fleet, etc. So perhaps if what you'd like to do is go into the settings, you can create a new popple, and you need to select that, and a little, if you click or touch the screen, your popple will appear. So you can type, perhaps if you were thinking you could create a few little popples of like your life. So maybe if you, the first one is you type in when you were born. You want to do that? This is when I was born, everybody. Keeping that in mind and we're present. And then to create your next popple, I suppose, to create the rest of your timeline, you click on whichever side you want to add to. You can add on any surface, I suppose, of it. You can go next. And you can type in the next big event. So I don't know, what would be next? Perhaps
Baby's first Christmas.
if I can type with a curve. Okay, so you get the idea, we go along like that. I had some photos saved for the iPad so that we could insert some pictures, but basically, you've got a picture button here and you can add images, which I don't know what images would be on this computer, so maybe we won't try that. But you could see on the other one that how it would look if you added images. You can change the font size if you want to emphasize your birthday, or change the colours of the border, make it really quite exciting, and kids love that it looks really quite, exciting, funky, hip, cool. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward, and I'm sure that if you've got it up, you've been playing with it a little bit as I've been talking, so I might leave it there because you'll all want to go home at some stage. So,
Haven't got much long to go.
no.
Promise you.
So now we'll just go through why we chose what we did for our lesson.
So digital technologies is a very important tool to be used in a classroom setting as it promotes creative thinking and confidence from the students in their work. The use of digital technologies in the classroom encourages students to have confidence and pride in their work, and they don't feel as though if they make a mistake it's that bad because they can just hit the delete button and it's gone. No one's going to be there picking over it or with a red pen telling them that it's wrong. They can just notice it, delete it, do it again. So it builds up their resilience, and they know that if they make a mistake, it's perfectly fine, just get back up and do it again.
So the use of this particular technology in the classroom allows students to be able to work collaboratively in ways that they perhaps haven't been able to explore before. So as well as communicating through social forums and other digital technologies, in this particular lesson, the students can work together on Poplet and using their devices like the computers and the iPads, and take them around the room and look at each other's and see, guide each other and how to do particular things on the app, and that it is easily shared to the rest of the class at the end of the lesson if your connections are working well.
We decided to use the Poplet program because it's visually engaging and it's full of modern and powerful features, including colour, images, text and videos. These features, along with its easy to use collaboration purpose, makes either their iPad or computer to help them organise and capture their own ideas. That can be used by anyone with any digital technology skills. I have no skills and I figured out how to use it, so everyone can use it. Like, I think I'd be comfortable letting reception have a go at it. It's so simple and easy to use. They can add pictures and it's pretty and make that fun. So it's really, really great. And it's great for visually kinesthetic learners as they're able to move their ideas around, put them in different colours if that helps them, and they get to move everything all by themselves. So it's really, really good.
So Poplet can be used in a variety of ways. Like I said before, when I was on placement, they were using it for mind maps and different things to do with like the history of their suburb and all these different sort of, they're quite fancy, these year threes, but we used it just simply to do the timeline of history, and students are able to experiment with the different types of digital technology in one app. So they can draw images, make connections between one idea and another, and import relevant pictures that correlate with the topic. And the instructions, I don't know, a few of you maybe saw how when you first download it or give it a go, the instructions actually pop up and you can use them to help you with your learning of Poplet.
We decided we'll use the interactive whiteboard throughout the lesson so that students had the opportunity to see what they needed to do and ask any questions, receiving guidance and instructions straight away, and you can use the whiteboard to also give that guidance. We also use the interactive whiteboard in the lesson to explicitly teach about the Poplet app. So it's better than a video from YouTube because you can sit there and physically do it in front of them and they can be like, so why did you do that? Can you go back to this? Instead of just skipping through a video and saying, off you go.
So at the end of the lesson, the students are provided with an opportunity to share their Poplet timeline. So they connect their device to the interactive whiteboard, and it's a time of reflection, I suppose, in a way to conclude the lesson, as well as it being visually engaging. We chose Poplet because you can use it without an internet connection, but also on iPads and computers, and it works reasonably similar on both, and students should be able to use these well because many schools do have access to the technology, and it's such a simple app that even if they weren't familiar with it, they could probably pick it up and not take too long to get their head around it.
These are just a few of the references that we use throughout this lesson plan. So we believe that this lesson incorporates the requirements of the Digital Technologies Australian curriculum for Years 3 and 4 students. We recognise that it's not always best or possible to have an individual digital technologies lesson, which is why we have tried to incorporate a lesson into a HAPS lesson so you can have both of them working side by side and make digital technology meaningful and useful